I wanted to I wanted to get started with this video because the last day or two has been really intense with a lot of energy, a lot of very cloaked and veiled energy that is not showing up in its authenticity. There's a lot of masking, and it's just there's trying to be a great deal of confusion about something, in the ethers around some, issues in my world. And that's fine. If I don't already know it, then I'm not supposed to know it. I'll know exactly how to attain the information I need at the right time because, as long as I stay plugged in, my team's not going to leave me to, figure stuff out without having any assistance. And the issue is that as these activations are happening, I haven't looked at anything to see, cosmologically, what's going on, what kind of transits and what have you. I think we have a solar eclipse coming up next week or something. I don't really know. I just know we're going through upgrades, and I know that it's very deeply affecting me. I have a shoulder injury that just gets flared up when these activations are happening, and they cause kind of some extra twitches and glitches in my system. And I don't generally have an issue with seizures. However, little body tics are not unusual, and during these activations they can be quite intense. And I am back to not being able to walk very well and wobbling, like, just literally dizzy and unstable, and feeling just incredibly disoriented. Like, this kind of looks familiar, and yet where the fuck am I? Because this is weird. It is that things look the same and they don't look the same. It's like they're through a completely different filter that is so different. It's not just a matter of seeing things from a different perspective. There's been a major shift. A huge shift, and it's just waiting for all of that to fill in all the logical questions that I have about, well, what was it? Who was it? Where was it? How was that? What settled out? And how's that going to work? And as that all, matriculates and settles in, and all those questions are answered over time, I just know that, whatever portal opened, closed it, or somewhere else, and that other shit, it's done. Like, wow, that's over. At some point during the day, yesterday maybe, I don't know, I just feel it, that all of a sudden go, oh my God, just feel this, of, something just happened. And I'm very blessed and protected that I don't ask a whole lot of, Rona Barrett type questions. Like, I'm not going to interview process with spirit about what's going on, how is it happening, and what's it look like, and all that. Even though I'm nosy as hell and I'm curious, I don't want to know, because that's its own little, karmic reward of, you might get nosy there, and that's just shit you don't want to know, because it might be that, you're brought into understanding that people are really suffering somewhere. And I'm not so cruel as to enjoy another person's suffering. I do want to know that there's justice in the world, sure. I want to know that, innocent victims are brought to justice. However, I don't want to see how the sausage is made, because I'm not that kind of a warrior that, being a paramedic and seeing people's bodies twisted and maimed and, stuff was hard enough. But to see people that are broken and spiritually tortured, and they're having physical pain on top of it, and their emotions are all over the place, and they're reaching for, some harsh coping skills with drugs and alcohol and sex addictions. A myriad of problems that I can't look at that and just be callous. That's really why spirit shields me a great deal from that, because I have the capability to see a whole bunch of shit that I don't ask to see, because I do know that I have the capability to know it, and I don't want to know. I do not want to even remotely approach the idea that I would enjoy somebody else's suffering or hanging up against a wall. That you made terrible decisions, and that's really sad, and I'm sorry that it's happening that way. However, for me to sit around and glut and gloat about how hilarious that is, that I don't understand. That to me is the very paradigm that people are talking about breaking out of with higher consciousness and, 5D consciousness, is that, no, even the worst lizard in my life ever the biggest abuser I ever had, whomever it was that took that title in whatever role they did, because there's been people that have done that. We've all had that. But me personally, even those people that justifiable eye for eye stuff, like, not in my Bible. That's why I don't follow that mess, because Jesus didn't say anything about slap the shit out of somebody that's been the prodigal son. That's not what he said. And I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm so holy and Jesus like that, I'm welcoming back in all the prodigal sons that marched away, took my money, partied, came back, poked me in my eye, raided the house, left, went and got another run, bootlegging and shit. I'm not saying that I'm going to be, daddy that's standing there going, come on, son, we'll just get it all right. I mean, I think that's the Christos consciousness that people are kind of striving for. I don't subscribe just to, Christianity, so I'm not hanging up there. I'm just saying that Christ ethic, that one consciousness of unity consciousness and God equation, God equation. Take old Jesus out of it. Poor dudes, why are we slamming Jesus and God and making them all dysfunctional and codependent? Because they're not, we are. And we can't figure it out. And so therefore, we're going to wrap some weird shit into a human being's world about what's wrong with them, that, they should be more this way or that way. And yet, if you ask that person in their reference book, you're doing it wrong based on this chapter in the same damn book, but it's been rewritten over here. Oh, I see. So does it change the material? I mean, just because you write something that's bullshit about gravity, does that make that true? I mean, that's why natural order is really good, and I dig it. I totally dig it, because, butterfly is going to go through that process, and it's going to be the exact same process every time. There's not a discussion about it. There isn't anything within that DNA structure that tells that caterpillar to do another thing except answer its divinity and its calling. And it didn't need a guidebook. It didn't need the Bible or the Quran or, an ascension guidebook or a tour guide of the cosmos. It's just listen to its own DNA understanding. And, one of these days I'll have to consider my thoughts or consider putting my thoughts about, DNA and all of that. Yeah, there's a different angle on that there's a common platform of understanding that if we're all sharing Earth, then we need to be filtering through the first understanding, which is that we are all the same. Because when we start believing that we're better than, our DNA is special, I don't care if you're a queen. I don't care if you're the queen of wherever you're from. That's fantastic. However, Jesus was just as common as they could be, and he was an ascended master, was he not? And he was common, wore sandals, and did things like, wash other people's feet and, give them water at the well or something, didn't he? And heal the lepers and shit. I mean, didn't he do some pretty out there kind of things? And he wasn't wearing bling while he was doing it. And he wasn't commanding, his chariot arrive to take him everywhere he went. He was humble, he was honest, he was right, he was real. And he also knew how to bring in the heaters. Don't be doing that shit. That's not okay. And, while I'm on it, here's just another thought that I want to know who it is that decided that language could not bother or even remotely come close to discussing, holy people. I can be holy and say holy fuck and still be quite holy and sacred. Now, I'm not going to do something that is lacking integrity. That's not sacred. However, if my language allows me to open up and express myself by saying shit fucking damn, and I know how to act with integrity, honor, dignity, and follow in Jesus' steps in a whole lot of ways that look really good to me, whatever they look like to anybody else, then I'm not going to worry about some little typo in the Bible about, my language. Well, when we're speaking the same language from a bazillion years ago, then we can make the direct comparison. And until then, I don't like making direct comparisons from, ancient understandings that have been bastardized and borrowed, stolen from, and reworked, and, just kind of take out the stuff that we don't want. How are we justifying calling people lizard based on a textbook that it's been picked apart? We've all decided, at least, a lot of scholars have said, the Apocrypha, okay, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we're not all clear that Jesus was married. And Jesus had descendants, Jesus had children. There's a whole lot more to this story. And if nobody believes that, why? Because there's enough data out there that say this is real, and it's because it's that old paradigm, and we're busy finding a reason to reptile somebody and not have to love them, not have to do anything to help them, and, cast them off the planet because it won't matter anyway. They're going to be irrelevant. Well, I don't think that it's a good idea to just leave litter on the dead planet that we're done exploiting, if we're going to look at it like that. I don't believe that Jesus would have found that a very holy thing to do, to say, well, I came here, I lost my life, and I took a lot of heat. I mean, I took a lot of shit for y'all folks, and I'm going to come back and do this second coming thing, and I'm going to come back and see this, that y'all didn't get very far. That to me seems very contradictory, that it is not very Christ-like or anything holy to me to find a reason why everyone shouldn't be free. For as long as you continue to act as if you belong in a cage, then you will be caged, because people that are truly free and independent and sovereign, they don't do the things that would land them into a jail experience, whether that's county lockup or spiritual jail. Either way, it's binding and it's restricting of the energy. And why? All because we can't shove it through the same book or understanding. The only understanding I need to understand and put through is the one that's the filter of me, because divinity and my DNA understanding, whatever it is, wherever I come from outer space and beyond, or right here in Florida, native, let's just get it there, to the common platform of understanding that we're all just the same. And then once we take it there, 1111, thank you. Once we take it there, then we can move on about, our holiness and expressing that. But we can't all get to the common understanding that we all deserve breath, life, air, etc., because they don't believe this. And we'll just go ahead and exclude them now because they already are irrelevant. They haven't come along so far. And like I said, I'm not bedding down with, monsters that belong in MIB. I'm just not. I'm not bedding down with people that have bad behavior. However, I will not deny anyone the opportunity to learn, educate themselves, and grow, because the minute that people do decide to tap into their holiness and their sacred, they can absolutely grow exponentially. I'm living proof of it. I used to weigh 300 pounds and I was on death's door. And I took a whole bunch of medicine and looked and sounded a whole lot like a crazy lady, because I was listening to a whole bunch of people outside of me define me and my spirituality, and it really screwed things up for a very long time. So I am vehement about, no. I know there are people that I'm on permanent, lockdown of, unless God brings you to me and tells me I have to work with you, we're not doing that. Married Numbers 12:21 just went by. That, that's true. However, the minute that somebody's coming at my direction and they come correct, then it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. If you come correct, then it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. And it really doesn't matter what you're going to do in the future. I mean, really, as long as we're on the same vibrational level and we're interacting there, then it shouldn't matter, because we're both going to be strong enough, healthy enough, and in tune with our own guidance enough to know how to proceed without beating each other up, and without that being an unhealthy exchange. If we're both clued in and tuned in to our own frequency, and whether we both call that source God or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It takes it out of the frequency of anything real high vibe and lovely whenever we trip it up right from the very beginning and argue about, well, you called it God. Well, you called it spirit. Well, does it matter? As long as it keeps me from being a raging you-know-whatsy and you a dill hole, then, can't we just agree to dill hole over here? Nope. And nope. Let's just agree that however it is that, your anti-dill hole maneuvers, as long as they're not cribbing, thieving, and stealing from anybody else or yourself, because addictions are, thieving from ourselves. As long as it's not that, then go for it and call it the church of whatever you want to. The church of nothing, agnostic you, if that's what you care to do. However, please don't mistake the fact that you wouldn't want to go to church with the fact that you have a very vibrant spirit inside of you. We all do. And if it's all the way narrowed down, then it's just this teeny, tiny little flame. It's okay. We can fan that sucker. I can tell you how, is to go inside and ask, where's my fire? Where's my flame? Because spirit is there, no matter what the name. So on that note, I've got birds that are working on building their nest, and I started putting out food for them a couple of days ago because the cold finally passed enough that, they would actually go onto the porch. So when they started showing interest, I put more and more food out, and now I get a bunch of them, and it's really great to watch life, propagate life, and understand itself without an argument. These birds do not stand here and bitch and moan about the prayer before they eat. They just are looking grateful and move out smartly from there. All right, well, take care of yourselves and get on within. Your skin, baby, because you're divine. Totally fine. See you next time. Bye, friends.